Sandhan. All Gujarat Integrated Classroom.
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Hello, teachers of teaching fraternity and my dear students. Now, once again, we meet here for a new topic, and that topic is a well known topic, literary features of Romantic age. Now, as all of you know, what does Romantic age mean? Because if we go age wise, then fourth or fifth age of English literature is said to be Romantic age, and this age runs from 1798 to 1832. Now it has got other names also. For example, since Wordsworth was the predominant poet of this age, and he was of course the representative poet of this age, therefore the other name for this age is the age of Wordsworth. The other name for this age is also age of revolutions, because as we know that the predominant revolutions of American War of Independence and French War of Independence took place in this age, and this age was affected by these two major revolutions which shook the foundation of British Empire. Now friends, after knowing this, let's move on to discuss the literary features of this age. Now this age was quite different, and it was like a landmark as compared to the other ages, in the sense that it was a free flowing and fantastic age. Why I call it free? Because there was a change in the mood of the poets, the poems, as well as the people. And this mood, the change of this mood, it led to this fantastic age. The age was fantastic in the sense that the previous ages or the prior ages before this age were quite typical, though they were nice ages, and there was something fixed with each age, but this age set the proved rules, or it was like a breaking pattern for all the ages to come, and it was a free, fantastic, and in that sense it was a very nice age. Now if we go into a more discussion, then we come to know that this age, the predominant characteristic or the trend or the feature of this age was that it was a break from set rules. Now prior to this age, the poets and the other literatures, they were writing so many things, and they were discussing, they were exhibiting, they were picturizing different things, but there were a kind of rules, and the two ages prior to this age, that is the age of Dryden and the age of Pope, they became like fixed ages, and some set rules, they were supposed to be followed, and the poetry became like a drawing room poetry, and of course the literature of that age, it became like the drawing room literature. But these poets, now these poets mean, here there were five main poets, and they were Wordsworth, Coleridge, Keats, Shelley, and Byron. They were poets, novelists. We had two novelists, Sir Walter Scott and Jane Austen, and of course, there were essayists also, that Charles Lamb, etc. Now, if we talk of poetry only, then all these five poets, they composed that kind of poetry which was miles and miles away from the set rules. And if we go inside the poetry of one of these poets, the one of the poems by William Wordsworth, who was born in Cockermouth in a natural ambience, and if we see a few lines from his Solitary Reaper, then while talking of this Solitary Reaper in this poem, Wordsworth writes, "No nightingale did ever chant more welcome notes to weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt among Arabian sands. A voice so thrilling never was heard, and springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the sea among the farthest Hebrides." Now, friends, if you look at these lines, they are clearly miles away from the set rules. And from these two symbols of these two birds, that is, nightingale and cuckoo, we have uh, this tendency of breaking from the rules, because through these birds, Wordsworth depicts a change in the atmosphere, and to depict this change, he uses these two symbols of these two birds. Now, this age was marked by country life, because in all these poems, and of course all these poets, the five major poets, they were very interested in country life. Country life means the life of the villages, because poetry prior to this age, that is in the age of Dryden and age of Pope, it had become the poetry of drawing rooms, and there was a sad style, sad situation, sad locations, but all these poets of romantic age, they broke those rules, and they loved the country life, and therefore in all their poetry we come across so many beautiful lines which tell us of the beauty of country life. Now, let's take a poem. Let's take few lines from a beautiful poem. Now, this time by Keats, and this poem is again in your course. The poem is Ode to Autumn, and by chance we have this autumn nowadays, and you can appreciate the lines which were written by Keats before so many years. In this beautiful poem, while defining autumn, Keats, he draws a scene from country life, and this scene is simply magnificent. While talking of autumn, Keats says, "Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a grainy floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twinned flowers." So, using these beautiful words, Keats, a major poet, of course, a major all-time poet, he delineates autumn, and he personifies autumn in these beautiful words. And when we go through these lines and these words, we come across a farmer, a person, and his mental and physical state is like this. Now, moving ahead, yet another characteristic we take, and this we see that prior to this age, poetry had been restricted to hi-fi society because poets were trying to appease the people of hi-fi society, the people of from clubhouses, the people from higher state of society, and poetry had been restricted to all these kinds of locations or these kind of people. But the poets of romantic age, they did not they did not stick to these rules, and of course they presented common life because according to them poetry should be about common life, poetry should be about common people, and this brought a major change. Now, in this context, again, if you take one another poem, and this poem is again in your syllabus, Shelley's To the Night, again a masterpiece poet by the poet's poet, because Shelley was also known as the poet's poet. Thus, these beautiful lines, they will just reflect that how this poet's poet, Shelley, he presents a common life before us through these poetic lines of his own. He says, "When I arose and saw the dawn, I sighed for thee. When light rode high and the dew was gone, and moon lay heavy on flower and tree, and the weary day turned to his rest, I sighed for thee." Now, in this poem, if you see the night, because we are often fearful of night, but the poet is not fearful, and he welcomes night in very common words because he likes the darkness, he likes the beauty of this splendid night, and he wants to love night like his beloved. So, in all these poets, the same feeling continues, and we come across this kind of poetry which is which deals in common life. Now, this age witnessed a major change, as I told you before, and this was a age of the the poets and of course the people, because poets reflect the sentiment of the people. So we use this word, poets and the people. Poets brought the change, but actually the people wanted a change, and so this kind of poetry was welcomed by the people. Now, the ongoing age was it was a age of liberty, because if you go in the background of this age, in 1776 American War of Independence fought under the leadership of George Washington, and America became free from the yoke of British Empire on 14th July 1776. Now, this American War of Independence, it paved the way for French Revolution, because they the French people, they also wanted to become free from the yoke of British Empire, and so they came out in open, and as a result of that, in 1789 on 14th July, American they got independence on 4th July, and French people they got independent on 14th July 1789, and their slogan became equality, fraternity, and brotherhood. So the poets of this age, of course these five poets, because two of them had been born, and Shelley and Keats, they were born after this revolution, but they were affected by the trends, and these trends were love of liberty and freedom. Everybody likes liberty and freedom, and these poets, they reflected these tendencies in their poetry. Now, if we again refer to these poetic lines, so we again come to a beautiful lines again by Keats in his famous poem Ode to Autumn. Now he recalls spring because he is talking of autumn, but after autumn comes the spring. So while remembering the the feeling of liberty and freedom, Keats says, "Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too." So he loves the music of autumn, and he talks of spring. Now, in these lines, if we see the background of these lines, naturally we see that it was a age which loved liberty and freedom, and people wanted to get free from the age of tyranny and brutality. Now we move ahead and go into other characteristic or feature of this age, and for this we again have to go in the background of this age. Now these poets, they talked of revolutions, they talked of equality, liberty, freedom, and for that they wanted a model, and they found this model in medieval ages, or we may say that in middle ages. So whenever they want to escape, because reality is always harsh and imagination is always welcome, so all these poets, they again and again they escaped